Next on Currents News, the raging fight over the right to life for the unborn is the hot topic at a Vatican summit. A frightening prediction from a top Catholic leader in Iraq. He is saying Christianity is close to extinction. The story of a Catholic priest and his service in the Navy as America gears up to remember the nation's war heroes on Memorial Day.
It's graduation season today. A very special member of the Brooklyn Diocese is receiving his honorary degree. I'm Emily Druby, and that is ahead.
Good evening, I'm Michelle Powers. The fight over abortion that's raging in the United States is taking center stage at the Vatican. A major summit on the sanctity of life is being sponsored by the Holy See. Melissa Butts reports from the Vatican.
As the debate for the right to life is continuing around the world, the Vatican jumped right in, holding a conference called Yes to Life. The Dicastery for Laity, Family and Life held a two-day conference with speakers from around the world, speaking on the right to life. Topics include palliative care, prenatal hospice, abortion, and euthanasia. Two speakers were Byron Calhoun, a specialist in maternal and fetal medicine, and Mary Carol Sullivan, the chief healthcare ethicist at the Archdiocese of Boston. They especially spoke of the current vocal abortion debate in the United States.
If you look scientifically, that life actually does begin scientifically at conception, and perhaps that's the biggest discussion that we can come to at this point in the scientific facts, not just the emotion on both sides.
When we look at this rash of legislation, you just have to ask yourself, who is pushing this and why? We're being told that it's a good thing for women. I'm here to say as a nurse, it's not been done, and not been done for a reason. In fact, it strikes me that there's so much potential danger to a woman to have to kill and then remove a baby that is full term.
The speakers did not only express a desire to protect mothers and children, but those who could have their life ended with euthanasia.
We have examples in some countries where euthanasia is used for children and also for adults. Laws have been made in a quasi-legal manner. The result of this is a reversion backward. Management of the final phase of life is often done with the approximation and unimportance.
The conference presented the Catholic Church's belief to uphold the dignity of life by expressing the importance of those children born with serious illnesses. They desire that every person in his or her dignity has an opportunity to grow in love, in reciprocal care, and in unity with others. It was not only ethical, faith-based facts that were brought up during this conference, but also scientific ones to prove all of the points that were made. This will surely help with laws that are being enacted around the world today. At the Vatican, Melissa Butts, Currents News. Back to you in New York, Michelle.
The growing trend to stop abortions with states passing pro-life legislation is winning the backing of America's bishops. They are calling it very encouraging. And in a new statement out this afternoon, they say, "Our march for justice and human rights for unborn children will not be complete until they are recognized and protected as persons by law. Our ultimate objective is for abortion to be unthinkable." Joe Biden is saying he changed federal law, quote, if necessary, to keep abortion legal. The Democrat often refers to his Catholic faith on the campaign trail. The latest abortion statement from Biden is a change from what he said after the Roe v. Wade decision was handed down. Then Biden said he thought the Supreme Court had gone too far in the Roe ruling. From the fight for life in the womb to the battle to save all Christians, the harrowing prediction tonight of a top Catholic leader in Iraq. He is saying Christianity in his land is close to extinction. It's just the latest bad news about religious persecution. Bombing after bombing around the world. Just the most recent pattern of attacks against modern-day Christians, making 2019 the bloodiest year yet for believers.
Religious persecution knows no boundaries. It respects no faith. It attacks everyone. So unfortunately, we're seeing a rising tide of persecution around the world.
Officials around the world agree the persecution of Christians is nearing genocide. Knox Thames is a U.S. Special Advisor for Religious Minorities. He says religious freedom is one of the most violated liberties in the world, especially in Iraq. In the birthplace of Christianity, the faith is facing extinction. Since the U.S.-led invasion toppled Saddam Hussein's regime, the Christian community there has dwindled from 1.5 million to less than 120,000. Despite the fact that the Islamic State terror group has been defeated in the country, the Archbishop of Erbil, Bashar Warda, believes there is still a fear stopping Christians from coming home. Fear the Islamic State will return and attack again. He says, quote, one of the oldest churches, if not the oldest church in the world, is perilously close to extinction. Those of us who remain must be ready to face martyrdom. Pascal Warda, a Christian and former minister in the country, echoes his concerns. There are still members of the Islamic State in hiding.
The spirit that exists already is there. Any Muslim who will not see his neighbor like his brother, like citizens, like partnership in the same land and the same rights, he can do this in any time.
Archbishop Warda accuses the world's leaders of political correctness, saying many will not speak out for Christians in fear of being labeled Islamophobic. The Archbishop also challenged a group of British leaders, asking if they would ever carry signs that say, "We are all Christians." Another expert on the global persecution of Christians is the executive president of Aid to the Church in Need International, Dr. Thomas Hoerner. National correspondent for the Tablet and Crux, Christopher White, spoke exclusively with him today. Christopher joins us now. Christopher, tell me, Dr. Hoerner says he believes the United Nations is a necessary force for preserving religious freedom. How so?
Well, the president of Aid to the Church needs to look. The United Nations serves as a global body, and that the U.S. or the Holy See's mission at the UN helps enforce that. Let's just listen into what he had to say now.
Respect and the recognition of religious freedom as a human right can only become accomplished by the full commitment of the nations and of the international organizations. So, in my opinion, the United Nations plays a very important role for the acceptance, the global acceptance of religious freedom as a human right.
Interesting commentary there. Christopher, tell me, why does he believe Christians in particular are being targeted more so than any other religious group in the world?
It's interesting. One of the things he says is that Christians, because of their sort of baptismal calling to welcome all people, and the gospel commandment to go to all corners of the globe, are particularly targeted because of that. And he said Christians are also the ones that reject ultranationalism. And he said because of that rejection of ultranationalism, those that hold such ultranationalist views really target Christians as a sort of revenge against that.
And he also praises Pope Francis for his particular concern against persecuted Christians. What did he have to say about that?
He said Pope Francis has called us to be artisans of peace, which goes even further than some popes have said. He says, it's not just a matter of saying no more to war. Peace requires that it's a positive action toward creating the conditions for it.
Christopher, I think my last question for you is, where is Aid to the Church in Need investing most of their resources at the moment?
Yeah, one of the things he said is that we invest in both small projects and big projects. So small projects could even be providing a donkey to a priest or a bicycle to a nun to help them provide pastoral care, or big projects such as rebuilding the Nineveh Plains in Iraq, helping create schools and churches so that there can be ongoing pastoral facilities so that the presence of Christians in these regions doesn't disappear.
All right, Christopher, thank you so much.
Thanks, Michelle.
The public feud between the White House and Democrats in Congress is still raging today after President Trump canceled a bipartisan meeting on infrastructure yesterday. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is now accusing him of pulling a stunt.
Now, I truly believe that the president has a bag of tricks, and the White House has a bag of tricks that they save for certain occasions. They don't necessarily apply to the occasion, but they're a distraction, which is his master of distraction. We will all agree on that.
Nancy Pelosi's problem is that she's totally lost control of her party. She's got the far left wing telling her what to do, maybe some of the moderates that actually want to get something done, and she's lost control. And at some point, she has to make a decision of which direction she's going to take.
Trump said he walked out of the meeting because Pelosi accused him of being involved in a cover-up. At the Vatican, Pope Francis was speaking out for peace this morning, like when he met 9 new ambassadors. The diplomats come from different countries and traditions. Francis told them to unify and overcome situations of armed conflict. The Holy See has diplomatic relations with 183 nations. In the Brooklyn Diocese, a special honor for a very special Catholic leader. Currents News' Emily Druby reports on what happened on graduation day at St. Francis College.
Among the Sea of St. Francis graduates was a bishop. Brooklyn's auxiliary bishop Octavio Cisneros at the school's graduation to give the invocation.
Inspire our graduates with the dreams of St. Francis of Assisi,
but also to receive an honorary degree. Bishop Cisneros thrilled to receive a doctorate of humane letters and also to share the stage with so many successful young people.
They're the future. It's the future of the church. It's the future of our city and our country. Men and women who are educated, but who also have in their hearts the love of God, faith.
When he was just a teen, he arrived in the United States through Operation Peter Pan, a Catholic humanitarian effort that brought thousands of unaccompanied minors to the country from Cuba. He thrived in the U.S., earning a master's degree in divinity from Immaculate Conception Seminary in Huntington, Long Island. He was ordained to the priesthood in 1971, eventually growing into an influential Catholic leader. Bishop Cisneros thrilled to see students from all over the world graduating from St. Francis.
We share with others who are from Brooklyn and Queens, the immigrants, those who have come to this country to obtain a better life for themselves, who want to get ahead, who want to educate.
Like Amal Hawari, a DACA recipient and graduating student who delivered the ceremony's welcome address.
Today, we should realize that regardless of how much the odds are against us, nothing is unachievable.
Hawari and many other students crediting St. Francis College for their success, including co-valedictorian Ariana Sartsdetakis.
I've had a really great support system, especially at St. Francis, through various faculty and administrators that really pushed me to be where I am today.
Over 300 students graduating here, ready to take on the world with their new degrees. In Coney Island, Emily Druby, Currents News.
As the nation gets ready for Memorial Day, dozens of warships are docked off the piers of New York Harbor for the next 5 days. And one of the Diocese of Brooklyn's own priests tell us how faith can keep them afloat. Currents News' Tim Hoffman has that report.
Turning pages of old photo albums, Father Joseph Sariello looks back on his time in the Navy while still thinking of today's sailors.
Every day since I've left active duty, I think of the men and women who are still on ships that are deploying, who are training.
Father Sariello enlisted in the Navy Reserves for 2 years after being ordained in 1978, later becoming a chaplain, ministering to thousands of Catholics serving the U.S.
You'd be constantly taking care of making sure the spiritual needs of everyone were being met, but especially Catholics.
Those needs included celebrating daily Mass, hearing confessions, and just being there to listen to sailors.
They might be homesick, they might be confused, things might not be going right, and everything is just more on the surface.
He was deployed for short stints from Norfolk, Virginia to the Mediterranean during the late 1980s. The Brooklyn priest returned home and was assigned to St. Anselm Church in Bay Ridge. Years later, he wanted to go back to the Navy.
I missed that camaraderie, that type of service to young people.
After serving in Japan in the late 1990s, Father Sariello returned to Virginia. He was aboard the USS George Washington on 9/11. The ship was docked in Virginia and called to New York's harbor.
I remember all of that night that we were steaming up to New York. Fighter jets were landing on the deck.
He watched as sailors answered the call in time of need.
It's amazing how these young men and women are so well trained that going into that mode of using that training just comes naturally.
Now pastor of Queen of All Saints Church in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn, Father Sariello says the upcoming Memorial Day is a time to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice while honoring the sailors of today.
Keeping those young people in mind so that we're not remembering them on Memorial Day, but all the time is important for all of us.
In Clinton Hill, Brooklyn, Tim Harfman, Currents News.
There's a lot more news headed your way. Rescue operations are still underway after a disaster ripped through America's heartland. There's a battle going on in California about the words, "In God We Trust." Find out why. And an uproar over skirts at a Catholic high school and whether or not girls can wear them. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number, 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. Floodwaters swallowing up a family's home in Oklahoma as violent storms slam through America's heartland. Tonight, rescuers are scrambling to locate more victims after a swarm of tornadoes hit the Midwest. There are a lot of people in danger, as many as 80 million. One of the most powerful tornadoes hit the capital of Missouri, Jefferson City. Natasha Chen has the latest from there.
The windows in the apartment were rattling, and I just thought we were all going to die.
It was just before midnight when a devastating tornado hit Jefferson City, Missouri.
We're very, very thankful that it happened at night when most people were likely, at home and they heard the outdoor warning sirens.
At least 20 people were injured in Missouri's capital, and homes and buildings across the city sustained severe damage.
It's terrible. It's destroyed. It's not home. The porch for the top level on the back side of our apartment is totally gone. There's no steps, there's no porch, you can't get up there.
The National Weather Service says there have been more than 170 tornadoes across the U.S. reported since Friday, but tornadoes are not the only danger.
We've known there were storms in the forecast. We've been more concerned about the rising flood levels at our river, so we were already prepared somewhat, but we were definitely not prepared for this.
Heavy rains have caused flooding throughout the Midwest, forcing high water rescues and washing away homes as officials wait for the next round of severe weather.
The biggest concern is more rain. I mean, there's some more rain in the forecast.
In Jefferson City, Missouri, Natasha Chen, Currents News.
Tonight, there's a new forecast out about the hurricane season that's getting underway, and experts are saying things should be normal this year. The feds in Washington forecast 9 to 15 named storms, and between 4 to 8 of them could develop into hurricanes, with about half, 2 to 4, becoming major hurricanes. In California, the words "In God We Trust" are causing controversy. It all started after a pastor asked that the phrase be put on police cars in a town north of Los Angeles. As Currents News' Tamara Lane reports, atheists there are very angry about it.
If we don't move forward in this, then I believe one day that "In God We Trust" will come down.
It's the hot topic in Bakersfield, California.
Once again, I oppose adding "In God We Trust" to Bakersfield Police Department vehicles and encourage you to table the item. And I also see "In God We Trust" here in the chamber, and I don't feel welcome here.
Residents making their voices heard at a city council meeting. On the agenda, whether or not to display the U.S.'s motto on police vehicles. A Bakersfield pastor is proposing the decals.
As I stand here today, I see on your back wall the words "In God We Trust."
The pastor has lived in Bakersfield for close to 30 years and has been a volunteer chaplain with the police for almost 20.
And one of the things I see, a consistency, because we have it in our courts and everything, our police officers are an extension of our court.
The idea, not a new one in Bakersfield. In 2002, a council member led and encouraged a yes vote on displaying the nation's motto inside the council chambers. And in 2004, she organized In God We Trust America, a nonprofit encouraging elected officials in cities and counties across America to follow Bakersfield's lead.
Bakersfield, California is the founding city of this very active campaign that's going across the country. There's a new interest and a new appreciation for our national motto.
However, many say displaying In God We Trust infringes on the First Amendment.
It's an inherently religious statement, and not every single one of our police officers is religious. They don't necessarily believe in a single God. they might believe in a goddess or multiple gods or none at all.
The City Council will vote on the issue next month. Tamara Lane, Currents News.
Still to come on Currents News, controversies are being sparked in 2 schools. One involves a yearbook and the photos of teachers. The other is at a Catholic high school where girls are being told what they cannot wear. And the tablet has a brand new page called Our Diocesan Family, where you can share your pictures of recent baptisms, Holy Communions, confirmations, marriage, all of the joyous sacraments. For more details and to submit your photos, go to thetablet.org/ourdiocesanfamily. Your picture may be published in an upcoming issue of the newspaper. We'll be right back. Some California school teachers are at the center of a controversy over their yearbook photos. The world language faculty at San Pasqual High School seemed to dress in costume, according to the language they taught. Some found it offensive, and the school district agrees, calling the pictures culturally insensitive and in poor judgment.
It doesn't look offensive to me.
It could be offensive if they're trying to make fun of us. It could be something honorable if they're trying to make honor to their Mexican culture. Honestly, it will be better without those big mustaches and big hats.
The teachers haven't commented on the flap. School administrators are taking steps to prevent a repeat of the incident. Also in California, more school controversy. This time, the uproar is over skirts worn by students at a Catholic high school. The uniform is being banned. Travis Rice reports.
It's a call to decency or an immodest proposal, depending on who you ask.
I think that the ban is very sexist.
Cathedral Catholic is saying the skirt will no longer be allowed on campus.
I was kind of confused because it never really came up in the past.
Students at the private school are aghast at the skirt embargo.
Oh my gosh, it is so bad right now. Everyone wants to leave Cathedral and it's not the best.
Mimi Cleary says this is definitely coming from the adults.
No one wants the skirts gone. Literally no one wants the skirts gone. I think only the principal and teachers.
In a letter sent to parents and students, Cathedral says the dress code exists to foster a faith-based environment where students are focused on learning and not outward appearances, adding that they've issued thousands of hours of detention related to the lengths of girls' skirts.
We've had to have it tailored in the past because of the restriction of it. We spent money on that. We spent money on buying different skirts because they've banned other styles.
Students say their families have spent enough on uniforms and they should be able to present themselves how they feel comfortable.
Everyone should just keep their eyes to themselves. They don't have to be looking down on our skirts. That's not our issue. I think guys get to wear pants, girls get to wear skirts. It shouldn't be banned.
That was Travis Rice reporting. Under the ban, girls can wear regular pants, Bermuda shorts, or capri pants. But the school says girls aren't the only ones having dress code problems. The administration says they will also be holding boys accountable about their facial hair next year. That is Currents News. I'm Michelle Powers. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.